Edwards off the running. Puts it back down to Edwards. They hand it off to Johnson. Boise State has won. Right now, and they take a downfield shot. And the catch is made. It's Ryan Williams. 233. Touchdown. Going for the corner. He got it.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Gridiron Uncensored podcast. We are rolling through the ACC now. We started at the bottom, and now we're here. Well, we're one up from the bottom anyway. We just did Florida State, and we're rolling on to Stanford. Hey, at least you're not last, baby. Let's go. Trying to find, looking at 2024 real quick, and we'll talk about that before we move into what we're seeing on the 2025 side. 2024, obviously, you guys know, tough season. And really, it's been tough for Stanford, of late. 2023 was that the same way. 22, the same way. It's just been ugly. And obviously, that's led to changes. And, you look at the schedule real quick. Yeah, you beat Louisville, which was shocking, at the end. And then even the Syracuse game was a funky one that you guys pulled out. So let's just go ahead and move on into 25, because obviously you guys know about the path. Gentlemen, coaching staff, what are you seeing on this team from moving from 24 into 25? Any hope on the coaching side? No.
They need a coach.
They need a coach. It's an interim coach right now, and it's a friend of Andrew Luck's.
Well, hell yeah.
Frank Reich is the interim head coach. They got a few guys that stayed with Stanford that were previously on the staff. So maybe Frank Reich. From what I've read, they're trying to find a coach, but really it's not going to happen this season. So Frank Reich's the coach this season. So I don't even know what the hell they're trying to do, because that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, is to have an interim head coach for an entire season. How the hell are you planning on recruiting?
It happened at such a horrible time, but Andrew Luck's the general manager now.
Yeah,
I know you obviously Stanford fans, this. We're just preaching the choir, but for anybody that's watching from the outside like us, he's the GM now, and Troy Taylor had some shit going on, and so he canned him and kicked him to the curb, and he said we're not going to deal with this all season and have this cloud hanging over our heads. So we're just gonna run it. We're gonna see what happens. I mean, it can't be much worse, right?
But here's my only question to that: why put the interim tag on that? Why not just hire him as the coach, and then if you don't like what he does after 2 years, can his ass?
I don't know.
Do
maybe
a year-to-year contract if you want, but don't put him as an interim. At least make it. At least frame it like you made a decision instead of framing it like I'm full of indecision.
I see what you're saying, Blake. What do you think?
I think there's more than meets the eye with it. With Andrew Luck being the general manager, I do believe that they're going to try to put more emphasis into the football program. I mean, that's why he left the NFL. He got tired of taking shots, and he loves his alma mater. I mean, I think they're going to start dumping some money into the program, and everything happened when it did. It was horrible timing. And I think it's a lot like how Saban was at Bama his last year when he hired Kevin Steele as the defensive coordinator. It's just somebody that knows the game. It's just going to get you through, that kind of thing. Yeah. And I think that's all this was. I think they're going to show what they want their brand to be, and then they're going to start getting the right people into plays next season. I think they're just trying to get through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely administration change, and obviously they fought to get into the ACC. They didn't want to get left behind like Wazoo and Oregon State did. Yep. So there's got to be some level of care and give a shit to, okay, we want our football program to be, what Jim Harbaugh got them to be, and really they all owe so much credit to him for even getting them on the national spotlight. And then it fell off, after he left. Yeah, David Shaw did his thing for a little bit, but it was never the same, level legitimately, not for a long tenured time. Either way, I think it's interesting to see what's happening here. I want to see, year or two from now where the Stanford team goes. Let's look at, some of the numbers real quick. Poor returning production, they're at 64% returning, which I thought was solid. But again, you got to have good returning production. We mention Oklahoma State all the time from last season. SP plus, they're at 88th in the country, is about where the stats are showing what type of level of team this is. So not great, but there's potential here. So let's talk about it, boys. Portal side, 54th class in the country. That's not bad considering. What do you see out of the portal? Anything that stands out? No, nothing.
I mean,
sorry guys.
Hang on, I'm gonna find one. Hang on.
No, while he's looking, I'll just play. Well, they got some guys, but like, there's not like a standout player to me that I'm seeing that's just gonna be a difference maker. Right. Honestly, I think a lot of the difference makers are within the team already.
Right.
Maybe some plug and play.
There's three that I see that could potentially do something, and it's Julian Neal from Fresno State, a 4-star transfer, 6'2", 200-pound cornerback, and then the 2 wide receivers that I saw, one from Wisconsin, CJ Williams, and then Jordan. I should have practiced your last name, Jordan, from Colorado.
We'll just call him Jordan.
I'm just going to call him Jordan.
Like he's one of the boys.
Yeah.
Because I'm not even sure how to even start that. So
I'll say, to get to 54th in the country with only bringing 18, there's some quality here. It's not, like you said, not a standout, like a huge, big name player, but there's guys that are going to contribute, and you're trying to build that depth, back of your program. You mentioned Williams; he's definitely gonna be it starter when Tiger Bachmeyer just left, and so did his brother. They all popped smoke, went off to BYU. A couple of guys that I had highlighted was Brendan Doyle, tight end coming out of Memphis, and then the offensive line types, Greer coming out of Georgia Tech, and then Parangos coming out of UCLA, 6'7". It's probably pushed 285 is what it says, probably pushing closer to 300. But those are guys that you got to build up the line, and we'll see what happens with them. But obviously, there's not a lot of optimism from outside looking in, or even in the fan base. Like you mentioned, looking through the boards and just negativity, and I get it.
Yeah, I dug through trying to find some positive. Look, this is what I wrote. I've got their rush defense was decent at times. That was the most positive thing I could find on the Stanford boards. Yeah. Their defense overall was among the worst in the ACC. Their pass defense was the worst and was at the very bottom of college football. So, I mean, there's not a lot of positivity. And like, I just reading through the boards, it was like working at a suicide hotline. Like, it was just like there was no positivity within the fan base that I could find. But I did say I thought some of the talent was within the team. Yeah, I did see people mentioning Colin Wright at safety and Micah Ford at running back. Yeah, and a lot of people are very high on Micah Ford. Yeah, so maybe that's the silver lining. But I don't know how good the offensive line is going to be. But we're rebuilding a program, so that takes time.
And they also brought in a 4-star wide receiver, John Anthony Hall, 6'1", 170. He's a top 100 player in the nation. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's a good building block for the wide receiving core. Yeah. They brought in a few other guys off of the recruiting trail, mostly 3 stars, I admit, but it's not any less. It's not stellar, I guess you could say is the word I'm looking for, but it's also, you brought in a lot of pieces that can create a lot of good depth if they develop properly.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, with Andrew Luck there, I feel like things will change. Let's look into, the offensive side, because obviously we mentioned, the Bachmeyer's left. One of them, you're expecting kind of a quarterback of the future. Well, that's changed. But you did bring in a couple quarterbacks to plug up depth, and you're leaning heavy on Elijah Brown to be the guy. And he's a young dude. He got some reps last year, so that's a positive. What type of jump does he have going into this season? The offensive line, there's experience there. I mean, these guys have played. Some of them, did depart, but you brought in more, coming through the portal. Like Fatigue coming over from Texas Tech. Who fits in? Who's going to step up? It's just that's the biggest question. Prongos would probably be one. Another guy coming over from, I believe it's Sacramento State. So, I mean, you're getting guys to come in. It's just how do they fit? The wide receiver room took a massive beating in the portal. I think they lost 8. So that's where it's like, that's tough, man. Young quarterback. Who's he throwing to? It's got to be CJ Williams. Pentelis, coming in from, what is that, Yale? It's just a question mark. Everything feels like a question mark, except for, you mentioned running backs got some good pieces, I think, and then just how the line gels. I think it's gonna be a little tough road for Elijah Williams Elijah Brown in year one in this new style. But we'll see. Offense, it's going to be a question mark. Anything else on offense, guys? It's just we don't know. We got to see it. Defensively, Blake mentioned a couple of the numbers. They were one of the worst in pass defense, but run D, they were 41st in the country in run defense. That's not bad. You can work with that shit. So there's a potential, there's a plus and some hope. Build off that. Went out, got some corners, depth pieces, and a couple of linebackers I thought were interesting. Zach Johnson coming in from Idaho, and then Hunter Barth coming over from Cal. Some important pieces, at least to build depth. You mentioned safety being important. They had, I think, one or two solid safeties. It's just the corners, man. How do they improve? I don't know. Yeah. So anything on the defense that you guys are seeing that, any changes, any hope there?
Or according to the boards, the cornerback position is the worst position on the team. They were very negative about cornerback. There are people saying it would look like a cheese wheel by the end of the season. It was bad. But they lost a lot at cornerback. Yeah. And they never really had it to begin with. So the team is leaning on Colin Wright at safety, apparently.
Yeah.
So apparently he's getting NFL looks.
Yeah, I mean,
from what I've been reading on the D line, obviously, is somebody that they're excited about. He's a freshman, and they're looking to him to fill in and be a staple of their defensive line going forward.
Yeah,
which should be good. I mean,
yeah, I think line
experience is important. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, if there's one thing there, I mean, there's experience. Like there's reps across the line. They're just you lost Bailey moving on to Texas Tech sucks. He was the top rusher, really in the edge rusher in the portal. So it's shit like that sucks. But I'm curious to see where this leads. Let's look at the schedule, guys, and just kind of see what Stanford's dealing with. And they're over under. It's not good. It's 3.5. That's about where they were last season.
3.5? Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, looking at the schedule, I mean,
it's possible.
It could be the under for real.
Oh, I don't want to say it, Stanford fans. I know you hate the negativity, but you gotta be, you're realistic too. You're smart people. You're realistic.
Yeah.
What are you seeing on it, guys?
Looking at it, I mean, Hawaii on the road is not a cakewalk.
No. And that's a night game too. Well, at least for us, it'll be day there.
Yeah.
If I looked at this,
tough, but
if I said what is the most winnable games on this team or on this schedule, it's literally San Jose State, Virginia, Hawaii. The rest of them, I mean, maybe Boston College. Outside of that, I mean, Notre Dame lost, North Carolina, Pitt, Miami, Florida State, SMU, BYU. That's 7 losses there. I don't know, man. I see 3.
You lost to San Jose State last year too.
This is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get burned for it. They will win their first 4 games, lose to San Jose State, and not win another game.
That's possible. I mean, BYU is interesting because Retzlaff, that whole situation.
Well, like I said, I know it's in Utah, but honestly, I think BYU is going to have a transition year. I think they're going to have a down year.
I think they still have a good defense, though, I just don't see.
They do.
Stanford
They 100%
scoring.
do. And I'm not downplaying that in any way, stretch of any way at all. I'm just trying to give some hope where they're right now.
Well, I would say the most hopeful would be winning 4 games, and that would be beating Hawaii, Virginia, San Jose State, and maybe Cal. The rest of the games,
you might be able to throw North Carolina in there because I'm not very high on North Carolina. I just think they suck on them big toes way too much.
Whoa, now.
Hold on, baby. I'm kind of into that, but
I just think the talent disparity with North Carolina is too big, even because it's a new year for them too, just like it is Stanford.
It is.
So I just think when you have 2 transitioning teams like that, you've got to look at talent, and I just see North Carolina having too much versus Stanford.
I get that.
I'm going to say under. I don't see them getting all 4 of those.
Yeah. So under with 3, 2, 1, somewhere in there.
I'll say they'll get 4. I'm going to say they're going to get 4.
God. All right. So looking at this,
Brendan's like, I can't get there.
No, I just.
It's hard to get there.
I would say there's a floor. The floor is 1.
Yeah,
1 win.
If the floor is lower than 1, I mean, Brendan, like we're splitting hairs here, man.
We're not Kent State, all right. We're not.
We're splitting hairs here, aren't we?
I know, but you got to give them 1. They're gonna find a win somewhere on that. So floor is 1. That's if everything goes fucking horrible. I mean, I guess it'd be 0 if everything goes atrociously, but I don't think that will happen.
What's the one win?
I think they'll get the win Hawaii early. I think they'll squeak it out.
They're gonna win the first game of the season and lose everything else.
Well, just bear with me. You got a floor of 1, and I think you've got a ceiling of 4. All right, so you're right in that realm.
Brendan,
I know.
Calm down, man. You're going crazy.
I'm just saying, some people might make money betting that over. Don't follow me. I'm not a financial advisor. California, I think California could be beatable. California let us all down last year. They lost their quarterback, who's a really good quarterback, Mendoza. He's over to Indiana.
We don't know, but we don't talk about California.
Yeah, screw California. Sorry, but you let us all down. So anyway, I think they could probably beat Cal, and then outside of that, it's got to be Virginia, or San Jose State. But again, you lost to them last year, so I don't know. It's going to be tough, but again, transition, whatever. Get back to us in like 2 years, and maybe we'll be a little bit more excited about this team. But I'm ready to see where this thing goes, really, and what the administration does for this program.
Yeah,
because Stanford being good, I think is incredible for football. We need a strong West Coast team like Stanford. Guys, anything else on this team? I know it's net negative across the board, but hey, again, we call it as it is. We're not trying to blow smoke, but you guys let us know what you're feeling, Stanford fans. Is it 4 even possible? Who do you think you might be able to force a sneaky win there? Florida State, maybe. I don't know. You beat them out in the record.
I swear on everything holy, the amount of edited pictures I am going to do if they lose that game.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be bad. We're gonna create a montage of that game and edit the pictures, and then we're gonna put them into a collage and put it on a reel.
Yeah, just a constant over
to just loop it. We'll just loop it all together.
Could you fucking imagine? All right. Well, again, let us know in the comments. Subscribe if you like it. And like I said, we'll see you down the line. Hopefully, when things get better, because you probably hate us. So we'll We'll see you around. Have a good night.
Keep your heads up,
See you.
Stanford.
Yes.
You got this.
Heads up.